Hey, this is Abacus, and I'm testing out my new mic. Actually, my old mic, my actual new mic, has a new problem where when I try to talk to it, it's super duper quiet. Don't know what it is talking to Reddit about it, but I hope to get it fixed relatively soon. But for the time being, we're gonna have to use my old mic in my videos. So this first video, I was thinking we could talk a bit about Killing Floor 2 because it, an extremely long time ago, had a new mode where you can play as the zombies in versus mode. Now, the first thing I want to mention about Killing Floor 2's versus mode is that while it's going to seem and feel like they were going for a Left 4 Dead 2 versus kind of vibe, it's almost completely different in every way. And while they stole a couple of gameplay tricks and design things from Left 4 Dead 2 versus, notably that the versus players cannot choose what zombie they spawn as, it is quite clear that they were going for a different feel altogether, because you don't play these super elite kind of lieutenants of the zombie army who are way more powerful. You really are just playing those grunts, those common infected, because there's no real common infected in Killing Floor 2. You usually get this miasma, this plethora of a bunch of little zombies all running around, some with spikes and some with rebar, and then a couple of them that are actually legitimately dangerous, like the Scrake, but you're only going to get like 2 or 3 of those at any given time. So most people in versus, while you're playing, you're going to find yourself as these starter zombies, these little suckers whose only real job is to run at the humans, hopefully deal damage, and then probably die. So if you want to play as the Zed team, you better be ready for a lot of that. And there's nothing wrong with that per se, because there are a bunch of games out there where it's really fun to be just a little spoke in the giant keg of this massive faceless army. God knows my first real game I ever got into was Star Wars Battlefront 2, and that was half of the allure of that game, just being a random stormtrooper. But I don't feel like playing a trash Zed in Killing Floor 2 is quite as fun as playing a trash stormtrooper in Battlefront 2. For one thing, you don't really have that many abilities. Every single zombie in the game has a primary attack, a secondary attack, which is more of like a heavy attack, and some sort of bonus, which is either another heavy attack or some utility, like the bloat can vomit these little bubble poison mines, and they kind of basically just behave like landmines a little bit, but weaker. The problem is that there are just a couple of things in this versus mode that stop it from working, and I hate to have to bring up Left 4 Dead 2 versus again, because they were clearly going for something different with that, but I have to note that there were 3 reasons Left 4 Dead 2 versus worked so well. The first was that you were playing things like hunters and smokers and not bloody commons, but I think Killing Floor 2 versus can actually get over that, but they're going to have to work on the other 2, and the other 2 is that in Left 4 Dead 2 versus, health for the survivor team is a commodity, and it's not coming back. You've got a few medkits, granted, but those are finite, your health is finite, and all the player characters are capable of knocking out an entire health bar with a well-placed pounce or charge. But in Killing Floor 2, there's a medic class who's constantly healing people, and that makes it very difficult for the Zed team to know when they're making progress, because there have been times that I've pinned someone, I've just been clawing at their face forever, and I finally die, and we've gotten them separated, and everybody on the Zed team is just frigging roundhousing this guy, and he just keeps healing, and he gets away, and if he gets back to the team, all of our work was for naught. And the other reason is that the Left 4 Dead 2 maps care so much about forward movement that you're constantly given opportunities to separate the survivors, because just in both games the survivors are more powerful in groups. So your goal should be to separate them, and to that effect there are a number of zombies in Left 4 Dead 2 that have the sole job of splitting up the team. The Charger, the Spitter, the Jockey, the Smoker, a lot of them can drag a survivor out of position, and because there's only 4 of them, it's relatively easy to do. In Killing Floor 2, there's at least 6 survivors, and only 1 Zed in the entire Arsenal army has a ability to draw somebody away from his teammates, and that's the Scrake. And that's the Siren. The Siren has the ability to kind of shoot this field that draws the survivor in, and it's kind of cool, but it's not super powerful, and it runs out after a few seconds, and it doesn't even compare to what almost every zombie in Left 4 Dead 2 can do. And all of those things hurt the game mode, because what ends up happening when you play Killing Floor 2 versus is that all the survivors pick some place, usually a decent place, to hole out where they can only be attacked from one, maybe two directions, and then they just camp there. And then you got the medic in the back spamming heals, you got everybody else spamming bullets, and there's almost no choice for the Zed team but to funnel through those corridors and die. Because the survivors, they have no need to leave. They're never going anywhere. And it just turns the whole game into a drag. And I mean, there's other minor problems. The Zed team doesn't get experience, so you're kind of wasting your time by playing them. But I assume they're going to fix that because Killing Floor 2 is in beta right now, and hell, there are even weapons for the survivors that don't have XP. If I had to pick just one thing, just make one change to make Killing Floor 2 versus more fun, I would immediately put the ability for the Zeds to choose what Zed they're going to spawn as. Because I really don't see any reason why you're not allowed to play whatever you want as the zombie team. Now, there are granted a few zombies that you'd need to limit. The powerhouses like the Scrake and the Flesh Pound, and I think you might not want everybody on the Zed team to go Siren, because that's what's going to happen, because she's got the only attack in the entire game that can separate the survivors. And so I was thinking, I mentioned Battlefront 2 before, and the way Battlefront 2 handled it was that they had a bunch of classes you could choose, a bunch of base classes, and you had to earn enough points to unlock cool stuff like the Droideka. So that would be a really easy system to implement. You just make it so that the Zed players have to earn enough points or something, who cares, to unlock the better classes. And also the better classes are unit locked. Even in Battlefront 2 you can only have 2 Droidekas at once, and you add those two things together and it would allow the zombie team to choose what they're going to play as, because the Zeds aren't that different, especially when you look at just the trash Zeds. The guy full of spikes, the jumpy guy, the cloaky girl, the rebar guy, they're all the same class almost. They're all just trashy damage dealers, and there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes you want to play something, you just don't get to. For some reason, the game never lets me play as a Stalker, something that I've been wanting to practice at, because she's got this cool, almost useless dodge ability. I'm under the impression that when you press the dodge ability, it's supposed to maybe help you dodge. For all I know, just the fact that she does this little cartwheel in the air is supposed to be the dodge. I don't know. But I'd love to get better at the character, and I can't, because the game never lets me play as her. The game seems to love dropping me into the game as either an alpha quad or a crawler. And I'm sick of playing those damn things. I'll get that I have to play them at first, but if I could unlock the Stalker through points, or something, that would just make me enjoy the game mode so much more. At the moment, I really don't see any reason anybody should bother playing it. But then, at the moment, I'm having a hard time justifying Killing Floor 2 in its entirety to anyone, so maybe that's just a byproduct of the entire game being really flawed at the moment. But Versus really disappoints me, because I really want it to be fun, and I think it could be fun. And I literally just think, despite all the flaws, if I could just pick what Zed I was playing as, I'd be having fun again, because at least I can choose a class and get better at it, because that in itself makes anything more fun.